everyone. So, sword vlog, what's this, number 4, I think? A lot of work's been done. You may notice the large gap between the last sword vlog update and this one. It has been a time of Damascus. I've had a couple of projects on at the moment that needed some Damascus, but none as much as the sword needed. So if you'll remember, I'm making a wooden handle template for the sword to make everything exactly to scale, so I can then just make copies of the wooden pieces. That has been coming along pretty well. You can see I've still got some extra tang here, and the blade is almost done. It's looking pretty badass, I must say. So it needs to go to its final grit of hand sanding. And then it's got to have runes etched down the side. So I had a bit of a change of plan. I didn't want to leave the Brute de Forge in the center. I'm leaving that the same finish as the rest of the blade. I thought, I made a decision then in the final, I think it would detract from the high-end look of the sword. Like it's going to be a fully Damascus handle with nice chatoyant wood and pyrography and silver wire inlay on brass and things. I want it to not have a rough patch down the middle. Personal preference. Anyway, so this handle is to scale, and it's very closely modeled off historical examples in terms of dimensions and comfort. This is not exactly final. Everything is ever so slightly oversized because when I use it as a template on the Damascus, I want it to have a little bit extra wiggle room to play with. So it's a nice tight grip. Remember, I have very monstrously large hands. Like, you can look at it next to the size of my head. I've got big hands. But even I have a quite comfortable grip on this. It's a very nice sword. So I've got the extra pommel, the length of the tang there, but the pommel is going to fit on like that. And that's how it's going to be. So if you remember, this is going to be Damascus on top, Damascus on bottom, brass in the middle with twisted wire inlay. Same here, Damascus on top, Damascus on the bottom, twisted wire inlay, and the pommel is a combination of Damascus and brass with twisted wire inlay. So these pieces, there's 2 pieces of steel here, Damascus steel here, 2 pieces of Damascus steel here, and there's going to be 3 pieces of Damascus steel on the pommel. So I had to make very, very large bars of Damascus, which took a bit of work, but we got it down to pieces that look all rough and nasty like this. But it's actually, we've got lengths of it that are about 1 meter long, all forged down to oversize the thickness that I need to recreate these pieces. Because on this mock-up, I can actually disassemble the handle as I would, and then these are actually just held together with double-sided tape because there's 2 pieces here. So when everything's said and done, I can take these pieces apart, put them against here like that, and use it as like a cutout guide on my Damascus to get everything fitting nicely. So to give you an idea, the bottom guard, actually called the top guard, I know, but the piece down the bottom of the sword is sort of shaped like this. Like there, and like that. And then the hole's going to be put in there. And I did a little bit of a very hard to see, but I put in the ferric chloride for just like a few seconds, just to see if the pattern's there. You can see the pattern is nice and bold running through it. This will all be polished up, and the Damascus will be nice and shiny and high contrast, and it'll look quite lovely. So you're going to have steel, and in the middle, sandwiched in the middle, is going to be brass, nice shiny brass, and running through the middle of the brass, twisted silver wire. So that's where I'm at. Hand sanding like crazy on the sword, because that's a lot of beef to be hand sanding. It's amazing how light it is now, though. Now that all the grinding's done, we've got it down to a nice thin edge, and the fuller is nicely in there. The tang is down to size largely. There's a little bit left to go on the end. when it's got the counterweight of the handle, particularly the pommel, it's going to feel very nice, I think. Very, very nice. So even though this piece is going to end up on a wall, which I'm low-key kind of glad for. I would hate for things to like be roughing this sword up after putting all this work into it. But this is for a very special event, and it should do the job. It should make the special event more special. So I have all these pieces of Damascus that need to be flattened off, rough shaped like this, and then the correct holes put in them, all using these pieces as templates. Then the real handles got to be made out of that beautiful Otway Blackwood, fiddle-backed Otway Blackwood, lovely, generously donated by Ryan at Otway Fiddleback, who should absolutely be following on Instagram, because he's got some very cool stuff coming. But yeah, it's going pretty swimmingly. It has been a phenomenal amount of work to get all of these parts, working parts, put together, but now it's actually starting to progress at a reasonable rate again, because all of the parts, all the materials now are made, and it can all start coming together. So you can look forward to seeing some pretty cool updates in the near future, and hopefully a finished sword pretty soon. So yeah, I am glad you've been coming along for the ride on this one. Big thank you to my Patreons, by the way, who have been helping keep me sane through what is a very long build. You'll also be seeing from me very soon an incredibly, ostentatiously ornate dagger, inspired by the work of people such as Niels Vandenberg. It's one of the last commissions that I'm taking, because my books have been closed for a long time, but this was a commission that I couldn't turn down. It was basically, I love it when people say, have total freedom of design. I just have this budget and I want this thing. So I am seeing just how fancy a dagger I can make, and for it I made possibly the most complex piece of steel that I've ever made. It took quite a bit of experimentation to get it right, but I had an idea in my head and I wanted it. And I kept trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing until I got it, and I got it. Got the piece of steel. So it's now vaguely dagger shaped. I did polish up one part of it and did a test etch just to see if I properly got it, and I properly got it. So heat treatment of that is going to be very butt-puckeringly nerve-wracking, I think. But that's coming up too. So you'll be seeing that. But it's sort of going hand in hand with this sword project, because they're both very large, complex, fancy builds. But yeah, I've got piles of Damascus in my workshop, because it's the sort of thing that you can't just say, hey, I need Damascus for a project, and then just make it casually when you do this full-time for yourself. You really need to foresee how much Damascus you're going to need for the near future and make the whole lot. So I had to reserve quite a bit of time for the prep work, the forging time. Big thanks to Broden McCulloch, Brother Odin, for helping me with some of it. Adam, my boy Adam, the postman, for helping me with some more of it. And one of my old students, Nikolai, helped me with another part of it. So I had did Damascus for a total of about 7 days, Damascus work. And on 3 of those days had an assistant helping me, which was a big help. But yeah, big thanks to those 3 guys. And big thanks to Big Fudge for sending me a 3-pound block of like 192 layer Damascus, which I had an awful lot of fun squishing. So you'll be seeing some cool stuff out of all of that Damascus coming soon. So, but in regards to the sword, final hand sand and rune etch, because I think that is going to look sick with the runes, the names of the people for the sword etched down the bevels. And yeah, then it's just more of these bits, rough shaping them first, focusing on getting all the slots nice in them, and then fancifying them, etching them properly. All of these have to be actually heat treated so they etch properly. And yeah, it's all just finally coming together. So yeah, thanks for following along. All relevant links are in the description below. Catch you on the next one. Bye.